Ethics in Construction by Tucker Snure. Ethics refers to the standards of right and wrong that prescribe what humans ought to do, usually in terms of rights, obligations, benefits to society, fairness, or specific virtues. Ethics stems from a branch of philosophy dealing with values relating to human conduct with respect to the rightness and wrongness of certain actions, and to the goodness and to the badness of the motives at the end of each action. When we take a closer look at ethics from the general contractor's point of view, we see a system of moral principles governing the appropriate conduct for an individual or group. I personally feel that the discipline dealing with the good and the bad and with moral duty and obligation, ethics, whether in one's personal life or in business, come down to doing the right thing, as governed by rules, guidelines, laws, and principles for good moral conduct. In the construction industry, ethical behavior is measured by the degree of trustworthiness and integrity with which companies and individuals conduct business. What are the reasons for unethical behavior in the construction industry? The answer is simple. Every general contractor wants to improve their cash position throughout the life of a project. Cash flow is the number one reason in the construction industry for failing companies. A general contractor will attempt anything to better their cash flow position, and that usually is where the ethical issue arises. Common ethical issues encountered in the construction industry that I would like to discuss are bid shopping, front-end loading, and holding subcontractor payments. My knowledge of these issues stems from the Auburn University Building Science curriculum Project Controls 2 class taught by Professor Mike Hosey and Project Controls 3 class taught by Professor Paul Hawley. In my Controls 2 class, Professor Hosey taught us about shopping and the ways it can affect project delivery. In my Project Controls 3 class, Professor Hawley instructed us on the ethical issues of front-end loading and holding subcontractor payments and how these issues can affect the project's cash flow cycle. Bid shopping is the practice of revealing solicited bids as leverage to encourage other subcontractors to lower their bid prices. Providing one competitor's price to another competitor who is bidding on the same scope of work is viewed in the industry as unethical and could face repercussions. For example, bid shopping may be seen where a general contractor prefers to work with subcontractor A. However, subcontractor B has submitted the lowest bid on the same scope of work. Since the general contractor prefers to work with subcontractor A, the general contractor reveals the bid of subcontractor B to encourage subcontractor A to lower their original bid. Some general contractors find this to be common practice and not an ethical issue unless it is being done to them, because this issue typically affects subcontractors and will benefit the general contractor. I find this to be the most evident breach of integrity. A bid is meant to be confidential, which is what gives the bidder a competitive edge. The moment the bid is revealed to competitors, the bid is able to be undercut, thus relieving the bidder any chance of getting the job. Front-end loading occurs when a contractor develops a schedule of values as a device for qualifying the value of its periodic payments on the project. The contractor and the owner agree on the value of specifically identified activities of work to be installed by the contractor. Front-end loading has occurred when the contractor places a value on a work activity that is in excess of its earned value with reasonable overhead and markup. Easily put, the general contractor is trying to obtain more cash at the beginning of the job. Why would a general contractor want to do this? The contractor is marking up their cost of work by 2 to 5% depending on the job, and is only being paid 90% of the cost of work plus markup due to the retainage being held. This scenario leaves the general contractor with a negative cash flow position because they are not getting paid for their full earned value. This practice is seen more often with smaller general contractors. Smaller general contractors, such as contractors that perform less than $50 million a year, find themselves with less cash in the bank making it harder to float the negative cash flow positions occurring during the life of a project. From a GC's perspective, they are not getting paid fully for their work, causing the GC to pay more expenses out of pocket. Most general contractors feel that they should not have to come out of pocket for construction expenses. The final budget remains the same, just the beginning payments change. On the other hand, the owner would not be expected to pay the cost activities that have not been performed by the GC. I feel that front-end loading is clearly unethical. However, the GC and the owner can come to a contractual agreement that allow the contractor to improve their cash flow position through increased payments at the beginning of the project. Then this could benefit both owner and contractor. Holding subcontractor payments refers to a GC being paid by the owner for their earned value and withholding the subcontractor's payments for a predetermined length of time. A typical subcontract stipulates a pay-when-paid clause, where the GC is obligated to pay the subcontract only after the GC has been paid by the owner. During the cash flow cycle, the GC is paid by the owner for a monthly earned value. Then the GC pays its subcontractors. The time between when the GC is in possession of the subcontractor payments is when the issue evolves. Most GCs have set turnaround times to pay their subcontractors. The longer the turnaround time, the longer the cash will be in the subcontractor's bank, gaining interest. This issue may be viewed by GCs as a savvy investment technique. However, it is typically combated by the increase in subcontractor fee for slower payment periods. I view holding subcontractor payments as unethical. A GC holding payments from a sub longer than contractually agreed upon will hinder its relationship with subcontractors and cause conflicts throughout the life of the project. Thank you for listening.